Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us for our associate's informational interview, informational session. So sorry. Um, we are going to begin by um, telling you a little bit about ourselves. I'm Gladys. I'm this year's president, and Adi is on the chat recording here. You'll see her lovely picture. Adi, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Ari Martinez, pronounced she, her, A. I'm the vice president. I'm also in the EC program. I will not be staying in the E board for next academic year because I'll be graduating in May.
Yes, we will both be graduating. So, yeah, so that's a little bit about us. I'm going to pass it over to Emily, who will give us a bit about our mission statement.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm the communications chair, and I am a first year master's student, so I will still be on campus next year. But anyway, so our mission statement. So RSOC aims to support student empowerment and agency by fostering community, belonging, and transparency among all stakeholders, and that's like would be students, faculty, etc., and is alumni and is committed to advancing equity, taking action, and challenging educational systems at Rossier and beyond. So yeah, I'll pass it on to the next slide.
Thank you, Emily. So a little bit about RSOC. So RSOC was formerly known as the RSO, but RSO conflicts with USC's name for Registered Student Organizations. So that's why the C was added. So now it's known as the RSOC, RSOC, as some people would like to call it. It was formed in 1968, and it was created with the intention to be a space for students to exchange ideas, to plan student activities, and to overall enhance the idea that graduate students deserve a student life. So as a graduate student at Rossier, you are automatically enrolled or affiliated with RSOC. We do ask that you join through Engage SC though. That's what makes you an active member. That's what allows you to receive notifications about our events like today's informational session. It's what keeps you up to date with what RSOC is doing and ways in which you can participate. So part of being an active member is ensuring that you are registered under Engage SC. And then I would say RSOC is committed to also being evolved and open to adapting to the many changes that are occurring and continue to occur in the educational landscape. So while these are some of the key values of RSOC, I think one of the larger concepts of it is that it's always open to evolve. I'll pass the next slide to Vera.
Thank you, Gladys. So for this slide, I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit about how the organizational structure is for our RSOC. So first we have the Graduate Student Government, GSG. So this is the organization that is like a government for all graduate students and grad students organizations. And under GSG, we have different umbrella organizations, and RSOC is one of them. So umbrella organization is basically a student organization that represents like a graduate student population. So for example, for Rossier, our RSOC is our umbrella organization. And under the umbrella organization, we have different sub-umbrella organizations. So these are the program-specific student organizations like SHIC, which is for the educational counseling program students, and we have PASA Network, which is for the PASA students, and we also have SCOT and other ones. So for sub-umbrellas, we do need to get recognized every year. So So for us, we get umbrella funding from GSG. So this is the student activity fees that they calculate based on how many students are in non-online students are enrolled per umbrella organization. And we get the umbrella funding, and RSOC is in charge of distributing that funding amongst RSOC as well as other sub-umbrella organizations. So if the sub-umbrella organization isn't really recognized, then we can't really distribute the funding. So one of the things that we're really trying to do is to encourage the process as early as possible so that the student orgs are not missing out on this funding opportunity.
Now we're each going to share a little bit about our positions. You'll hear from the person who holds the position directly. So as I mentioned, I'm the president. And some of the things that I do overall is oversee and support the other board members with any of their objectives within their role. But I also meet with representatives from Rossier. I attend community engagement events, tabling events for resource events for welcoming students. I am generally the person that speaks to the RSOC advisor. At this time, that person is Jordan Silva. And happy to announce that Jordan Silva will continue with the next RSOC board. So that's a great point of contact. Jordan is a wonderful advisor. I also do connect with other staff and administrators to kind of push RSOC's objectives forward, but also to ensure that our student voices are being heard. I'll pass it to Adi.
So very similar to what Gladys does, I also support all members. In my end, I like to work a little bit more in providing structure and organizing, just like our drives, our agendas, just making sure everyone else is aware of what task needs to be completed to implement an event, things like that. And then I also wanted to share a little bit more about the time commitment. So at least for my end, and I want to say Gladys too, since it was only us first two elected in the beginning of the year, we didn't have the finance chair, the communications chair, or the social programming chair. We committed like almost like 15 to 20 hours during the summer and a little bit in the beginning of the fall semester, which is almost a part-time job. So that's just something to keep in mind. We're hoping to reduce that time because this is a volunteer position, and we all positions are volunteered, and we don't want anyone to be spending so much time on this either. But yeah, I'll pass it to Mbura.
Thank you, Ari. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my role as finance chair. So as finance chair, I manage and oversee all the budget and funding distribution for RSOC. So which includes first, as finance chair, you need to go through a training process. So there's like some online training you need to do, and there's like a test you need to fill out online. And also in the beginning, which is really important, is you need to submit the funding application for RSOC to GSG. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the umbrella funding, which is the funding for RSOC. So for finance chair, it's really important to stay on top of the deadlines and be aware that it is time sensitive sometimes. And once I get the funding, I'll like create the budget and communicate with the sub umbrellas to make sure they're aware like how much money they're getting, and also creating a process where the sub umbrellas as well as RSOC board members can apply for funding and as well as access it. So for this role, we'll work really closely with the president, vice president, as well as our advisor Jordan, because Jordan is in charge of actually making the purchase with our USC procurement card, as well as processing any reimbursements if needed. And also for finance chair, by the end of each semester needs to produce a report to the GSGs on like how much money we've spent and spent on what with all the invoice receipts and everything. So this role requires to be detail oriented and as well as really collaborative because it is the role that a lot of people come to for funding and a lot of questions. Like I also work with the sub umbrellas like PASA Network closely to help them figure out like how they can best use this money, etc. So I would say it is a great position if you want to get more exposure into like budgeting and expense or just supporting campus activities in general in higher ed settings. So if this is like a area that you want to get more exposure to, I highly recommend anyone to apply.
Pass it to Emily.
Okay, so as I said, I'm Emily and I'm the communications chair. So as part of that role, you're going to produce all the official correspondence for the organization. So that's going to be through Engage SC. You're going to like use the Instagram and then also the website, and that involves promoting our events and other student organization events. So there's like a lot of communication involved with like other student orgs. You're going to want to be connected to like the MPO office, like you're going to want to be connected to like alumni and like faculty advisors. So there has been like some outreach on that end. Um, and then you kind of like get to create all the flyers and all like most of the promotional material. So I think it's a really a great position if you're someone who's like interested in any kind of like creative graphic art. I think that's been one of the most fun parts. And then just like someone who's excited about sharing the events and likes to kind of know what's going on all around campus. And then I guess who wants to do the social? Yeah, okay, I'll pass
Yeah.
it.
And then for social programming chair, as you could tell right now, we don't have the social programming chair with us, but we did have for the first semester, and their primary goal is just basically to conduct socials to promote community, build community. So it could be very simple as like the meet and greet, things like that. And they also oversee the end of the year celebration. That's the main event that they take a lead on, but board members support that event as well. And then as you can notice that it also says first round on top of the slide. That's because for this application cycle, we're only recruiting the first 5. After we're done, and I'll give you the deadlines and all that, we'll open the second one. And the reason why we just do the first 5 is because we want to allow the new e-board to have an input of how the rest of the positions look like in the whole e-board. We do have suggestions, and we do hope that they keep all the positions because I think they're all great. But maybe they want to add more members. So that's really up to them. But yeah, we can move on to the next slide.
I just want to reiterate that these 5 positions, Vera mentioned it, do require training. There is USC mandated training that these 5 positions have to take before the RSO application can be submitted. The RSO application needs to be submitted annually. These 5 positions require, if I remember correctly, 4 modules, training modules. We receive certificates from them, and then in this instance, I submitted the application, but it doesn't say anywhere in the Constitution who's required to. But I think ideally it would be the president or the vice president who would be submitting the application. So that, along with your advisor, are required to take training. So you just want to make sure that you take that into consideration because that happens within the first week or so of school. So you want to make sure that you're aware of that before committing to any of those roles. As they all mentioned, they're all roles that are fulfilling in their own right and that have many opportunities for growth on a personal level, but they do require very specific skill sets, as everyone mentioned. I'll pass it on to the next group of extraordinary people who also require specific skill sets. We'll go with the DEI chairs. In our board, we have 3 DEI chairs. We have Ashley, Chris, and Nathaniel. Any one of you is welcome to speak.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ashley. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm part of the MFT program. So as for DEI co-chair, we play a critical role in ensuring equity and inclusion remains central to institutional policies and initiatives. And we work to address systemic barriers and advocate for policies that create a more diverse, equitable, and welcoming environment. And then Chris will go ahead and lead us into kind of what activities we do and workshops we do. So yeah.
Thanks, Ashley. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Thompson. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a doctoral student in the Global Executive Program in Rossier. Similar to what Ashley shared, this is a critical time for us to really focus on how we are showing up for our campus community. And so we do that through, as Ashley mentioned, through creating opportunities such as workshops and panels to have open dialogues that bring students together. We try our best, through inviting speakers and a lot of our cohort members, whether they're depending on our programs and other professors to come out and speak and share their voice about how to make and improve the Rossier community. A key part of being in this role that anyone applying for this position should know is that you are going to be helping to amplify voices of people who feel marginalized. And so getting out in the community, attending events at Rossier and throughout the USC community is critical to networking and finding out what's the climate, what's going on, but also understanding some of the barriers that those who are coming to USC may be facing, whether they're someone who comes to campus every day and they're there full time versus someone who's in an online environment or a hybrid mix because of the dynamic of higher education is changing. We highly encourage you to don't let that, maybe if you're in a program that's fully online, that's totally fine. There's opportunity for you to serve as well. Your voice, we want your voice to be heard. But also being able to collaborate is something that's also very important in this role. So working together to bring these initiatives together to talk about these things is something that we do constantly. And we also will work collaboratively with other members. We work with our professional development chair. We also work with Emily to put out communication related to these events. So you will definitely do have a bit of impact in what you do, and the work that you do will be such an impact to the community that when you walk away, you definitely will feel fulfilled from this opportunity.
Thank you
And
so
then
much, Chris.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Nathaniel, do you want to share something?
I think my colleagues really put it best as well, Chris and Ashley. So I thank you guys for sharing all that you have shared. And just to kind of amplify what Chris was just mentioning, as of right now, and truth be told, like he said, collaboration it is really essential in terms of just advancing DEI efforts. Not again, as Chris mentioned, just to just kind of piggyback off what he just said right now. Not necessarily just us working in a group of 3, but working collectively as a team, and in that, I think the work that we do ultimately at the end of the day really just builds those partnerships with the different student groups on campus, different faculty members that we have that are able to partake in the panels that we host, and just community organizations, community-based organizations, to ultimately strengthen USC's mission statement and vision statement towards the commitment to achieve equity and justice as well.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. Very well put. We'll pass it on to our program liaison, Meredith.
Hi, my name is Meredith. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the program liaison. I'm in my first year, finishing, I guess, my first year in the school counseling program. And yes, I am the program liaison. So I think like Vera talked a little bit about the sub umbrella groups, and so um, and most of you are probably pretty familiar with Shake since you're in that program. So I communicate with them, and then all the other like sub umbrellas around different stuff. But one at the beginning of the year, I have to create like we created like a roster, and this is like when we get their contact information, and then now I'm talking to them more about like um, their elections and ensuring that they'll be ready to get RSO status if that's something that they would like, because right now we don't have a lot of the groups on campus are not, or like in Rossier, are not um are not part of RSO, and so it's a very it's kind of, I think it's not really the most accessible like system, and it's, I think it's, there's a lot of information that it's really important that gets shared. So I think like this is a good role for someone who I think like works well with other people, um, who really wants to like help other people like have the right information. Um, and it is, yeah, so this is the second round. This is in the second round. I'm not on the e-board, so if you don't think you can do like the training and maybe some of the time commitments that Audie and other e-board members have talked about, I think it's a good way to be a part of RSOC. Uh, I think that's all. So you can go, Mark.
Great. Yeah, so Mark Weigum, I'm the professional development chair. I'm a doctoral student in the organizational change and leadership program. So I think, with this role, it's what's interesting about it is that there's a lot of information that the Career Services Center does as well. But I think there's a flavor of it around more of the graduate student because a little bit of different type of things. It's not necessarily like your first job necessarily or those types of skills. But there are a number of things about how do you potentially transfer to another career or even just in general, like you're looking for a new position or you're looking for that. So there's a lot of different nuances around at different times of a person's career. What are some of those skills that people do need because they do change and evolve as they go? There's also how do you evolve and how do you think about evolving within your own career as it is now? Maybe it's up leveling to a new position, and what are some of those skills? And then, as a number of people have talked about, collaborating with a number of the other groups, the diversity and inclusion team, I think for a number of people as they go and they get into either leadership type roles or managerial type roles, this is definitely an area that is evolving. And so being able to stay on the front end of what are some of the new skills, what are some of the new mindsets that people need to have as they go into some of these roles, these are all of the things that we try to capture, whether it's on our own sort of events that we host. Given the breadth of a lot of the positions, it's a lot of creating Zoom type of events. So being creative is definitely a key part of this role, because it's not always about just getting everyone in a room and then networking. You have to kind of try to do that in a little bit more of a unique way. But then also being able to pass on information that you do see, whether it's in your own professional life or within your program or that are coming out from like the Career Center or somewhere else, and making sure that everybody sees it, because there is a lot of information that's out there and a lot of good information that everybody can utilize. And so this role ends up being a lot of collaborating with others, being creative with a number of the new types of content, staying abreast of what's going on out in the industry so you can pass it along. And then also thinking about what are those skills that people are interested in, and then helping provide those resources to be able to have that available to them as they're either thinking of a new job or up-leveling in their current.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm going to pass it on to the GSG senators. You all can decide who wants to speak first.
Hi everyone, my name is Franklin Pedro Andres. My pronouns is he, el, cha, and I'm in the EC program, wrapping up my last semester. But I represent one of the proxy senators for GSG, to share some of there are 3 key points that I want to share as a role for a senator. The first one is collaboration, as many of our roles do need that. The second one is time commitment, and the third one is advocacy. So the first one for collaboration, we definitely, as a GSG senator role, you have to collaborate within the other senators within RSOC, but also collaborating with other senators at the GSG level. There's roughly 50 schools and about 100 senators, and so each senators represent different schools, and that's why it is key. It is important to collaborate with each senators because there are a lot of things that we vote on that ultimately the senators decide, whether that's budget, whether that's resolutions, whether that's even executive board member who we decide to be our president, VP at the GSG. The second one is time commitment. There is a lot of committees that we have to join as a GSG senator. So not only do you join RSOC's meeting, GSG meeting, but also you have to join a committee. One of the committees, for example, is the Academic Affairs Committee, where there is going to be a chair that will support you through the process. But one of the things that they oversee is within the Academic Affairs Committee is the professional development grants. And so we have the task to review these grants and whether or not the student meets all the eligibility. And so those are some things to keep in mind when it comes to time commitment. And the third one is advocacy, as some of the issues that RSOC has shared in the past was our budget. Our budget has decreased significantly. Therefore, as a GSG senator, we have to advocate to have some of the things like the budget to be increased. There are some also issues that maybe Rossier students are facing that we're not aware of. And so we become that advocacy person that not just advocates within the RSOC, but also at a GSG level so that students are aware of. But these are just some of the key components for GSG senators. So I do just want you to keep that in mind. But I also do want to share, like, if you have any questions or if you're ever interested in like these roles, feel free to like send us an email, and then we'll gladly like also like support you through that as well. And then I'll go ahead and pass it back to our VP.
I'd also just wanted to plug your office hours. The senators have office hours, so if you are interested in applying for the GSG senator position, now would be a good time to utilize their office hours to get familiar with the role, to understand how they collaborate with the graduate government. And even though they are connected to GSG, their position is also unpaid, but they do work very closely with GSG. So they work with us and they work with GSG. So it is a highly collaborative position. Does Izzy want to say something? Izzy, would you like to add anything? Okay. Hi.
I'm so sorry. I'm at church, which is the reason why you can't see me. But yes, I just want to echo that everything that Franklin said. GSG is really fun because you get to see how USC operates at the graduate student level, not just within our at USC and like the grander scheme of it, but you kind of get to bring all that information to RSOC as well, which I think is really great. And so yeah, like anyone who wants to be a GSG senator, as Gladys said, come to office hours and we'll be happy to help and talk more about the position. Thank you.
Sorry, y'all. Did I stop share screening? My apologies. No, you can still see my
Still
screen?
sharing. Yeah.
Okay, cool, perfect. So I will pass it on to the advocacy chairs.
Hi everyone, good morning. I'm one of the advocacy chairs. My name's Alondra Losa. I use she, they pronouns. And the general vibe of the advocacy chair position is an inaugural position. So Elaine and I, my co-chair, are still kind of working out some of the kinks of the role, but the general idea is that we identify and assess external and community resources and services for graduate students. And so right now, a lot of our job is kind of understanding campus climate and wanting to kind of take note of any like issues or grievances that graduate students are having at Rossier, whether it be like directed related to like policy or curriculum, or it's more about like culture and other parts of general climate. Like right now, we just got the green lit of having our survey for all of Rossier students to kind of give us their feedback about their experiences and like what specific issues they want us to identify. But I would say in general, like similar to the other positions that have been described, it is a very collaborative position. Already, we've reached out to various schools on campus that either have similar advocacy initiatives or have identifiable resources that graduate students should be highlighted and know how to utilize. So a lot of it is also kind of being a lot research based. So kind of seeing what's already on campus, being able to compile it in a centralized document, like for example, like basic needs initiatives that are on campus or free or reduced pay legal services. So kind of like being very curious, being very investigative, is like a really good key characteristic of like being successful in the advocacy chair position. And like was previously mentioned, one of the positions is going to be open since my co-chair is graduating next this coming May, which is amazing for her. And so if you have any other questions, please let me know. I can put my email in the chat if you have any specific questions. Since it is kind of an inaugural position, a lot of what we've been doing has been like kind of figuring out what the role actually is, how it best serves the community. So if you have any suggestions even too, that'd be awesome. So my emails are open.
Thank you so much, Alondra. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened here, so can we pause the screen share for a minute, Addie? So time commitments, Addie, did you want to let us know about that?
Yeah, so as some of the chairs already mentioned, at least for the first 5, there is mandatory training. That took us maybe a few hours, maybe between like 2 to 5 hours, depending on how you want to spread it out. The vice president and president do have a bit of more training to do. So there's a lot of time commitment, especially during the summer. And then these are the dates from last year. So last year, the trainings were between September 1st, and September 4th, which is a very short window. We're trying to avoid that. If we do elect the first 5, they'll have almost a whole month to complete the training. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we do check in bi-weekly as the whole board, but we also check monthly with different members depending on what they need. If they need additional support, we do sometimes join their individual like check-ins. And again, as I mentioned, the bi-weekly meetings, that could be up to the new e-board, but typically that's what it's been like. There has been times, especially this semester, where we meet every week, just because we have a lot of events going on, and there's a lot of holidays, so we're trying to accommodate. But our bi-weekly meetings are usually 1 hour and 30 minutes. Sometimes they're an hour, sometimes they go more because we are a huge e-board, so we all have to report on what we're doing. So that's just something to keep in mind. And at least for us, Sundays work, at least for all of us. Sometimes that doesn't work for everybody, but again, that's really up to the new e-board to decide when they want to meet. And then every fall semester we do, or at least we try to do it in the summer. So that's just something to keep in mind. The vice president leads a retreat with all the other organizations and all the board members, just so we could get to know each other, see how we could collaborate, how we could access funds, and anything that we might need throughout the year, and really to just like set our objectives for the whole academic year. All board members are required to attend 2 events per semester that we lead. So I might attend like the professional development events or the GSG like office hours, like something like that. And also, at least for us, our e-board, when we have biweekly meetings, we're only allowed to miss 2 meetings per semester. After that, we do consider you for like the removal process if we feel like you cannot commit the time. And then Gladys, do you want to add anything to that? No?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Next.
Do you all have any questions? Is there anything that went unanswered and you'd like some clarity on that? No questions? Okay, I will just say that I think it's a great opportunity. I have enjoyed working with all of the board members. It is very collaborative in nature, but I think all boards are. And it is a great opportunity to sharpen your leadership skills, to understand how to serve a diverse group of students. So I really do encourage anyone watching the recording, anyone here, to really, find a role that speaks to you. And I think you heard from all the board members, they have a passion for what they're doing. Like you can sense it in their tone, in their language that this is what they're about. Like, and it demonstrates in their work. If you are in the Rossier building, you'll see that there are flyers up right now for the RSO process. That's all thanks to Emily and Meredith, who worked together to make that happen. And you can see their passion through all of the work. So all of the board members are just wonderful and do really great. So find what what you're passionate about and apply for that role, because I think we need all the voices we can get. So I'll hand it over to Ari to let you know how you can go about applying for these positions.
So the application process will open tomorrow. And again, we're just recruiting for the first 5. We'll have it open for almost 2 weeks. If we feel like we want to give it more time, we might have more time. But all members will review the application process. It'll take a few days, and then we'll send out interview invites. And depending on how many applicants we get, the interviews may look somewhere between 10 minutes to 5. I know Gladys and I had 5 minutes, which we're not trying to do because it was a little bit stressful. So we're trying to see if we could do 10 minutes instead. There's usually like something that you have to do after you apply and you get an invite to the interview. We're not going to disclose that right now. But that's just something to keep in mind. You might have to commit like an hour to like something that we're gonna ask for. And then the selection process will be sent out the second week of April. Do any of you have any questions about the application process? Oh, and all board members get to vote. No, okay. I do want to mention that some people have been nominated for positions. That's Emily. Emily has been nominated for president. That doesn't mean that you can't apply to be a president. You're more welcome to do that. But she has received a internal nomination, as well as Mark and Alondra for their same positions that they have right now. And then, yeah, follow us, check out our website, check out our Instagram. Okay, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.